Proportional Response. Book 1, Chapter 26, Part 9. Go Laughing into the Night. Hannibal studiously schooled his features to neutrality as he watched the other ambassadors realize that Henry had, well and truly, tricked them all. He made note of their reactions for later reports and tried to consider who he would need to work on to soothe ruffled feathers, figuratively or literally. The thought of feathers caused him to glance at the Pinnegrin ambassador. The man seemed to be waffling between horrified, amused, and dumbfounded. "Stick that one in your beak and smoke it." Hannibal braced himself for the feeling of self-recrimination at the errant and uncharitable thought. But the feeling never came. Yep, far too much time with the humans. Yet, maybe not a bad thing. He turned his attention back to the chamber. Several ambassadors had hit their microphones and tried to shout over one another. Somehow, Balud managed to win out over all the others, and his amphibian voice rose above the fray. "The vote is invalid. You deceived us. We need you, Henry. This council needs the leadership you have shown." Henry speared Balud with a look and cocked his head just so. Balud squinted in irritation, but allowed himself to be stopped, and for Henry to continue. "Yes, I deceived you. You do not, however, need me so badly. Or, at least, I sincerely hope you do not. The League is larger than any one man, larger than me, larger even than our blue friend Kaz over here." Hannibal didn't even try to suppress his own half-grin as a reluctant chuckle flitted through the chamber. "To say that I must take up the mantle of Prime Minister is to say that you, the people who have seen the League through this crisis with me, are incapable of continuing to lead without me. To say that the entire League, with its hundreds of billions of souls, is no greater than the single small human who stands before you." Henry looked down for a moment and shook his head, then looked back at his audience. "No, friend Balud, I thank you for the sentiment and the vote of confidence, but no, the League is bigger than that. You are bigger than that. It has to be. You have to be. I am not eternal. None of us are. We have weathered a crisis unlike anything that this chamber has seen since the last days when it was built. Now, it is time to move forward, to build a League that fulfills the promises made in its charter, which will turn that charter into a truth to carry all sapience forward and upward, rather than a package of pleasant lies used to oppress. And a pack of lies is another reason, besides the fact that I yearn for nothing more than the freedom from such responsibility, why I cannot take the mantle of leadership of this effort upon myself." Henry hit a button, ignoring the muttering, and the list of charges he'd lain against himself showed on the chamber wall. "Every one of these is true, including this one, threatening an ambassador with the genocide of their species. What that threat was, I will not tell you, nor whom I threatened. It is a secret known to less than a dozen living souls, and we are all charged with taking that secret to our graves. Know, however, that it happened, that I did it, and if I was put in the same position I was in, I'd do it again. Know also that if you had faced what I had at that moment, many of you would likely have made the same choice, and that it doesn't matter. What matters in the way of the law is that I did it. Without shame, with forethought and planning, I did it. I also perpetuated every one of the other violations listed here, even if a trial would acquit me of wrongdoing on most of the counts if we were to try them individually. There is a concept in many of my homeworld's cultures, and in many of yours. Most of the cultures which espouse the idea have some sort of phrase they use to invoke it, but I will just speak the core idea plainly. Do what you must, and face the consequences. My fellow sapients, I submit to you that I have done what I must. I have violated League law and tradition in more ways than I can count. I have pushed, pulled, cajoled, bribed, harried, tricked, and threatened in order to do what had to be done. The fact that it has brought us here, free from centuries of oppression by self-styled overlords, does not separate it from the fact that I have done them. To banish me from government, to end my political career, and forbid me from ever holding power again, does not invalidate my life's work, the work of freeing us all. In fact, it validates it and gives it greater meaning, and protects all sapients within the League for the future. How, you ask? It may be that you, noble ambassadors who shepherded the League through this trying time, may be able to establish a League that lives up to the promises in its charter. Let's say that you do, that you succeed spectacularly and usher in a golden age like none seen before by any of our worlds. Do you believe that such a golden age might be perfect? That you will be able to prevent all injustice that there will not be a single corrupt bureaucrat in any position, in any government, anywhere in the League. That there will be no places where evil will manage to take root and grow like a malignance for a time before it is discovered and rooted out. What will you, or those who come after you, do when someone smart, clever, determined, and with the proper backing comes in here with ill intent, and uses such wiles to convince everyone that whatever power exists within the League needs to be overthrown, and uses methods like the ones I did to do it? What happens? What will you do? If I were to allow you to push me into taking up the reins of power, even after all I have done to get there, then it would open the door for any sapient who came behind me to justify whatever he chose to do to gain power. And then, what do you think such a person will do to consolidate and hold that power? For the first time since Henry started laying out charges against himself, he looked up at Killentar. I don't think you have to imagine very hard to come up with an answer. No, my friends, my fellows, my respected former colleagues. We cannot let the ends justify the means here, not in this, not like this. I must be banned from the halls of power, now and forever, for the good of the League, and for the good of our future. Henry paused. Everyone could see he had begun to breathe heavily, and the pain of his admission stood clear on his face. Silence reigned supreme in the chamber. No one dared to so much as breathe. Henry's words deserved applause, ovation, and congratulations at his willingness to make such a sacrifice. But no one wanted to go first, and somehow applause did not seem right. Enibal closed his eyes, brought in a slow deep breath, held it, and raised one hand with his palm pointed to Henry. Balud took up the gesture next, then the new Findle, then another ambassador, and another. Each stood with his hand pointed to Henry, each with a head slightly bowed. Henry stood like a statue and watched the scene. After all stood with a raised hand, he continued. Thank you. I thank you all again. We, all of us, have been through so much these last year. Trying times await you, as you reforge this League into what it promised to be, rather than what the Zoltans created it to do. Your edict, which should not have been allowed, but I will take advantage of, and break League law one last time, said that I can speak my mind, so I shall. There is one who has, in a secret that many of you have become, to some degree or another, aware of these last years, stood beside me, helped mitigate the damage of the war, even backed me down when I was about to go too far. This person has been a steady stone, upon which so many of you have depended through this trial. He has borne your hopes, your dreams, and your fears, without allowing himself to show the strain. He has also kept his hands clean of the infractions I have listed against myself in as many ways as possible. If I were to pick someone to lead you into the future, to forge a new League from the ashes, which still choke the halls on the other side of the doors behind you, he is the one I would choose. I will not name the man, for I don't think I need to. Everyone stood, still in their poses. Henry dropped his chin for a moment, closed his eyes, gripped the lectern on his platform, and took a deep breath. When he looked up, that infamous grin of his had been plastered upon his face. Enibal knew it, as sincere as Henry continued. After what I have seen these past years, after the deep thought, careful consideration, even heroism I have seen from so many of you, I believe you can rise to this challenge. And, understand, I have seen heroism of many kinds. An ambassador from a low-index world willing to admit publicly that he had been wrong to a field of deathwelders, and commit to a change of course. Another who stood up to his own government and voted against sanctions that he didn't believe in. Sapients of many species who would not normally fight, who learned how anyway, and put themselves on the line to protect hearth and home. People from species who cannot fight, for one reason or another, who built ships or weapons or served as medical personnel, to people who could crush them in the throes of a seizure. I have seen much, so much from all of you, the best of each of your kind. As I walk out of this chamber for the last time, I do so with a light heart, with the belief that I leave this League I have bled for in good hands, and that you can lead us all to a better place. Know, please, that I am proud of each of you, here, who serve for your kind, and of each of you who watch this, who have survived through these recent horrors. I am proud of all of you, and proud of what you will become. Together. With that, Henry cut his microphone, stepped back, bowed, and saluted the assembly with the same gesture they stood and used. Everyone finally lowered their hands together. With that, Henry jauntily jumped from his platform to the Prime Minister's walkway, turned, and walked merrily off the stage of history.